Um, Good evening, and thank you for coming. Today, I would like to do something which is, or not do something, but speak about something and try to do something which I've never done before. And of course, as you know, our St. Petersburg Center is kind of like the laboratory within which various experiments are made. I would have actually liked it better if all of you were in front of this and I was over there. But next time we'll do it like that when I ask for that. The reason is because the topic of today's discussion is the process or the conception of tuning. How's your back? Not bad. Little bad. Little bad. Okay. I should do more, but I have no time. Tuning is a relative kind of a term. Because when you speak about tuning, usually you speak about tuning to something. Now, you can speak about the concept of tuning in a very general way also. And I can start off with a general definition of what is tuning. Tuning is the way in which a frequency is found which is in the expected harmony of the person who wishes to hear it or use it. Now, I suppose that might have been a little too complicated, but very basically said, it's just like if you want to listen to a radio station. You have to tune the frequency of the radio station. The station has an antenna, and it is broadcasting waves, which, thank you very much, have a particular kind of a frequency. Now, radio has many different kinds of waves which it broadcasts. But always there is a wave which we tune to by having a machine which enables us to capture that frequency. Now, there's other kinds of tuning too. For example, when you tune an instrument. Now, there is, for example, a guitar. Actually, you can tune a guitar in all kinds of varieties of ways. Usually, there is a standard kind of a way. The E, A, D, G, B, and E strings. This is the way it's tuned. That's standard tuning. Not what he said, but something close. Now, this tuning is also a relative thing. You could make your E, the bass string, anything you like. You could make it down to an F if you like, a lower octave. And then tune all the other strings relative to that first string. Now, the guitar would sound fine. But if you wanted to play with a piano, and if that piano was tuned the way pianos usually are tuned, you would have to change your guitar to be equal to what the piano is. Because the piano doesn't change, or usually doesn't. You can also tune pianos lower. They don't sound so good. Because you always have to tune that which is easily changeable to that which is much less easily changeable. Now, there's many ways we can go at this point, but I'd like to give another example of how this relates to people. And then move back to the more technical aspect of a tuning. A mother and a baby, a little baby. The mother, she has to be the flexible relative tuning because the little baby is not flexible. Because the little baby doesn't know how to tune itself to other people. That's because little babies are little babies who just are what they are, and we have to love them for what they are. You can't train them to be something else. Training can only take place later on when they develop a higher capacity and potential to be trained. Now the mother doesn't mind doing that, because the mother understands this is her job, her responsibility. In fact, she loves it. And therefore even highly intelligent people end up going goo goo gaga to the little baby. And waving around the rattle. Now, even Albert Einstein did it. But when we do it like that, we don't feel, so to speak, degraded. We don't feel like we're stupid. We do it out of love. We tune our vibrations to that of the child out of love. Now, the interesting feature of that personal tuning between mother and child is the love. Sometimes mothers don't love their children. This is very unfortunate. You know, psychologically speaking, if the mother is smiling at the child, yet her energies are putting out anger or hatred or frustration to the child, the child grows up to be schizophrenic. Because the child is seeing one thing and feeling another thing. Now, in the beginning, the child thinks this is the way smiles feel. But when the child grows old enough to start to see other people who smile and give another kind of feeling, and other people who put out anger and have another kind of feeling, the child starts to remember subconsciously the experience with the mother and becomes psychologically disturbed. There are also mothers who dislike their children because they're unwanted. Or they find that children are an annoyance. Children are an annoyance. Annoyance. They get annoyed with the children. So they send out constantly this energy of, I don't want you. Therefore, they never tune to their child's and their child's needs. Such children feel neglected, and they grow up in a very unfortunate environment. Let's go back to the technical explanation again. Let's say you have a guitar or any musical instrument, and you tune the strings in an improper way. Now, of course, you can also tune differently than the way I said. And you should certainly tune differently than the way he said. But you can tune the guitar into a chord, for instance, or you can tune it into some kind of droning with octaves and a chord, or some kind of raga scale. You can do whatever you want. But you have to tune it in a way where it sounds good. Now, why? Well, the whole point of the musical instrument is to create music which is nice. Because otherwise, if there's music which is not nice, well, then you don't need a guitar for it. Could you lower that a little bit? Because you can always just go out and listen to somebody digging a hole in the road. That's also not nice. The reason we listen to music is because it's a vibration which makes us feel a certain way like we want to feel. Now, when we're young, we like a particular kind of music more than other kinds of music. In fact, as we go through our lives, our taste in music changes quite radically sometimes. Our taste in what kind of TV shows we would see changes radically. Our taste in the way we speak to others changes. Now, what is actually happening here is that the antenna is changing. The receptacle of the wave is changing. My young body has certain kinds of hormones, certain kinds of hormones, certain kinds of chemicals, which it is being powered by. Huh? For example, when I was young, let's say in the university, we used to go in one lounge almost every Friday and Saturday night, and we used to play music for 6, 7, 8 hours straight without stopping. Fast music, sometimes a little slow, but you know, it was really, it had some energy to it. That was like when I was 20 years old. Now, you know, I'm 52. So I'm more into the calm and peaceful. And if it has a beat, it has to be a very melodious thing, a very well put together thing. You know, like all those Sri Hari things, I hated those things. Except for some songs, they were quite okay. Now, you know, the difference between me then and me now is not a spiritual difference, because I am the same me as I was then. The difference is the receptacle, the antenna. The antenna is different. This is an old antenna. That was a young antenna. Now, life, or the living energy, is constantly changing. In fact, it can constantly change day by day, hour by hour, even in a moment it can change. For example, let's say I'm listening to a certain kind of music, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to me and says something very agitating to me. Then I become like, and I don't want to hear this nice soft music anymore. Turn that stuff off. You know, it's too much. Or let's say somebody is listening to very happy, lively music, and then you get the news that someone you love has just had an accident or died. Immediately you can no longer tolerate that music. So we are constantly changing. And that which we wish to hear, not only music, but words. The way people speak to us, it is constantly changing too. Why is this? Because we are a living energy which exists in a package. A package. Not a well, yeah, also. Okay. An organic complex. We are our physical bodies, our mental bodies, our emotions, which is also a type of body. And all of these things have their etheric counterparts. The etheric energy upon which these things interact Now, this being is important on all levels. This being, this package that you, this complex of a living entity. Now, if my body feels a certain way, my capacity to tune into things is different. When you're tired, your capacity to tune to music or to even speak properly is very much different than if you are not tired. Because the body is a very, very significant factor. Everybody knows this. And if your mind is disturbed, or your mind is in a particular state, then again, your capacity to tune into things changes. And your emotions the same. Now, when one understands this constantly shifting situation that we are in, this constantly shifting existence, then one starts to understand the difficulties that two people have to relate to each other. Can you imagine? Here's one system constantly shifting. Here's another system constantly shifting. And they've got to somehow or another keep relating in harmony. Hey, this is difficult. It's like when the baby gets all upset and wants to move, wants to do this, wants to do that. The mother's got no time. The mother's got to do this and this and that. And the baby wants, feed me now. I want to do this now. This is two life forces which are shifting. And sometimes they are in sync. Sometimes they go out of sync. Sometimes they're in harmony. Sometimes they're out of harmony. This means things are troublesome. In fact, this is probably the number one difficulty that everybody has in human relationships. How to always be harmonious with others. Well, there are different ways in which you can do that to a great extent. Let's say you are married. And let's say you're the husband. And your wife is very agitated for some reason. Or let's say you're the wife and your husband is very agitated for some reason. That which agitates women and that which agitates men is different. Sometimes women are agitated by things and men, they have like no idea. Like they go, what's the problem? I don't get what's the problem. Or men are agitated by something and the women go, why do you have to be like this? Now, when you're in such a situation, the response of what's the problem is the wrong response. In fact, if you respond with a challenge, or you respond with Another negative. You know, if you know anything about mathematics, two negatives cannot make a positive. What? Oh yeah, okay. I guess I didn't know so much about that, but -4 times -4 is plus 16?
Times, yeah.
It's not minus 16? Why not? If I owe you 4 oranges, no, let's say I owe you 500 rubles, and I owe her 500 rubles, and I tell you two to get together and multiply, then I get 2,500 rubles.
Если я должен вам одному человеку 500 рублей и еще другому 500 рублей, я говорю вам, давайте помножьте свои долги, и таким образом вы мне должны 25 тысяч рублей.
I mean, that's not what I meant when I meant mathematically. I meant from, and I'm not going to use that example again, let me tell you. But the idea is that a negative, well, you know, come to think of it, that may also not be true. You might, for example, you might be able to have, like in a forest fire, you can have 2 forest fires come to each other and put themselves out.
Да, например, вот тоже пример, как 2 огня, пожара в лесу, можно 2 пожара зажигать для того, чтобы они уничтожили друг друга.
Or you can have two armies come together and blow each other to pieces, and there's nobody left to fight.
Или же 2 армии можно столкнуть так, чтобы они уничтожили друг друга, и больше никому будет сражаться.
So it's not exactly so that 2 negatives can never make a positive, but what I was trying to get at before I stuck my foot in my mouth was that if 2 people are before each other and they both put out this negativity towards each other, it just makes things worse. Now, of course, if, let's say, the husband's yelling at the wife, and then the wife says, just shut up, or hits him over the head with the pot, maybe the fight will stop. But it does not make a positive energy. In fact, it creates a negativity which gets even deeper. This is what I meant. That if somebody comes towards you with this negativity, and you respond with a negativity, like, what's the problem? That's a negativity. What you are saying is, it makes no sense what you're saying. You're just crazy. There is no problem. It's all a creation. This is a negative statement. It cannot heal or cure or make peace. Now, understanding the way in which a frequency is coming at you, an energetic frequency, is essential to understanding how to respond to it. Because if you don't know what's coming at you, you don't know how to deal with it. If you don't know what is coming towards you, you don't know how to deal with it. Therefore, in any living system, the first thing to do is to understand what is coming towards that system. You know,
Это принцип этого.
Every human being,
Каждый человек,
every animal,
каждое животное,
every creature
каждое
has this flight or fight syndrome within them. Flight or fight?
имеет этот синдром
Flight or fight? Flight, to run away or to stand and fight?
убежать или сразиться.
Now, when, let's say, for example, an enemy is somebody who seems to have been an enemy comes towards you.
Вот, например, тут к вам кто-то подходит, про которого вы думаете, что это ваш враг.
Your glands inside your body are pumping you full of adrenaline.
Ваши как бы железы выделяют много
And
адреналина.
you have to make very, very quickly a decision.
И вам нужно очень быстро сделать решение, принять решение.
Shall I run away?
Убежать
Or shall I stand and fight?
или остаться и сражаться.
Sometimes you only have like a few seconds to make that decision.
Иногда есть только несколько секунд для того, чтобы принять это решение.
But the adrenaline that's pumping through you helps you to make that decision fast.
Который выделяется, помогает принять быстро это решение.
So it seems as if the body itself has certain mechanisms to help you tune to certain situations. However, the mind is also there.
Однако ум тоже присутствует при этом.
The emotions are also there.
И эмоции также.
If the adrenaline is pumping,
Если выделяется
the
адреналин,
mind is racing,
то ум тоже стоит на бегу.
but the heart is in another direction.
А сердце еще одно направление.
You can get in a lot of trouble.
Может быть, много проблем может быть из этого.
Here's an example.
Вот пример.
Your beloved is very angry at you.
Ваша любимая очень разгневалась на вас.
Your beloved is acting practically insanely
Она фактически действует как безумная.
and starts to approach you
И
with
подходит к вам
a very antagonistic fashion.
очень антагонистичным образом.
The adrenaline is pumping.
Адреналин выделяется.
The body wants to run.
Тело хочет.
The mind is screaming, "What's going on?"
Что происходит?
But the heart is saying,
А сердце говорит,
"But this is my beloved.
ну это же моя возлюбленная.
Nothing can happen."
Ничего не может произойти.
Many times people have been killed in such situations
Много раз людей убивали в такой ситуации.
because
Потому что
they're not aligned. They're not seeing things in a holistic fashion.
Потому что их видение не целостное.
You never heard of such examples? Or maybe you said it wrong because I see these frowns on faces.
Может, вы слышали что-нибудь подобного, такие примеры? Когда-нибудь
You think it doesn't happen?
такого не бывает?
Happens all the time.
Так постоянно случается.
Wives think they should stay with their husbands, and that it's just a temporary insanity. Husbands end up sticking a knife in their wife.
Значит, бывают такие случаи, когда муж убивал жену, а жена думает,
What? Wife thinks she should stay with the husband and
жена думала, что
work it out somehow.
с мужем как-то разрешить эту проблему, а в конце концов все кончалось тем, что муж вонзал нож в тело жены.
Happens all the time.
Как это происходит?
Now, in order to
Для того, чтобы
get to such a situation where one can see things
такую ситуацию, когда человек может видеть
from these different levels,
вещи вот с этих разных уровней,
one has to be very aware
нужно быть очень
of one's bodies,
нужно сознавать свои тела,
these different bodies that we have.
тела, которые у нас есть.
You have to learn to
Нужно изучить,
feel
как правильно чувствовать
your body.
свое тело.
For example, if you eat a food
Например, если вы
which is
едите
incorrect,
пищу, которая неправильна для вас,
sometimes your heart will start to beat very loud, very strongly,
иногда из-за этого ваше сердце будет бить очень
or you will become
часто,
dizzy.
или у вас будет кружиться голова.
These are just some examples.
Это какие-то, я привожу примеры какие-то.
For example, in allergic reactions or food intolerance.
Будет аллергическая какая-то реакция или может быть неприятие какой-то пищи.
So, and also, maybe you spend too much time in the sun.
Или, может быть, вы очень долго пробыли на солнце.
Or not enough time in the sun.
Или, наоборот, недостаточно.
One has to be able to recognize symptoms in the body so that one can act in a way which is beneficial for the body. For example, if you work too hard and you're starting to crack up, you have to know when to say stop. Now, usually people are so unconscious of their own bodies that they eat too much or sleep too much or not enough or work too much or they're just couch potatoes. Just sitting there in front of the TV. Now, when you are trying to become aware, and when you are trying to awaken the various aspects of higher consciousness in conscious evolution, you have to, it is a necessary thing to become aware of all of the different levels upon which you live. You have to know how the body reacts. You have to be aware of physical symptoms within the body. I do this, I get that. I don't do this, I get that. You also have to become aware of the way your mind works. Those things which cause your mind to spin into a hole of depression. Those things which cause your emotions to go into turmoil. One has to be aware. One has to just observe. For one who wishes to understand the truth, and I don't mean here just some conception of the truth, or that which we would like to think is the truth. But when one actually is eager to understand the truth, one has to learn how to observe, how to be aware. Now, to be aware of what one is observing, one has to concentrate. You can't observe much if your mind is all spinning around. Let's say you just had an argument with one you love. And your mind is spinning. You might not know what is going on around you. So one has to be very concentrated in order to observe things on a deep level. This means to concentrate on one's existence, one's life, on all the different levels. Now, this concentration is without a doubt the most important factor in conscious evolution. Because by concentration, one is capable of understanding. Now, when we did meditations these previous days,
занимались медитацией предыдущие
we
дни,
always started off with relaxation.
мы все время начинали с расслабления.
And to free ourselves from those things which agitated us.
Освободить себя от тех вещей, которые нас беспокоили.
Why was this?
Почему мы это делали?
So that we could
Для
concentrate.
того, чтобы мы могли сосредоточиться.
You can't do a meditation.
Невозможно заниматься медитацией.
You can't perform a visualization.
Исполнять визуализацию.
You cannot feel an energy
Почувствовать энергию
without concentrating.
без концентрации.
Because these things are not
Потому что эти вещи
gross.
не грубые.
They are not in our ordinary awareness.
Это не те вещи, которые мы обычно осознаем или
They
наблюдаем.
must be entered into. They must be something that we reach
Это вещи,
towards.
в которые нужно проникнуться. Это те вещи, которых мы должны, в которые погрузиться или достичь.
And to do that, we need to
Чтобы это
concentrate.
сделать, нужна концентрация.
And to concentrate, we need to be peaceful.
А для того, чтобы сконцентрироваться, мы должны быть умиротворены.
You know, Krishna even says in the Bhagavad Gita, how can there be happiness
Как может быть счастье
without peace?
без мира?
That's, practically speaking, common sense. How do you have anything without peace?
Здравый смысл, как вообще что бы то ни было можно иметь без мира,
Without being peaceful,
без спокойствия,
practically
умиротворения,
none of the desired results of activities can be attained.
никакие желания, результаты не могут быть достигнуты.
Because when one is
Потому что
not
когда-
peaceful,
если человек не умиротворен,
it is very, very difficult
очень трудно
to do anything properly.
вообще что бы то ни было сделать правильно.
Peacefulness is the number one
Это
qualification
первая
for
квалификация
conscious evolution.
для сознательной эволюции.
Because upon it, everything is
Потому что на
built.
этом все строится.
That is why yogis,
Поэтому йоги,
when they wanted to
когда
meditate, they went to the Himalayan mountains,
они отправлялись в Гималаи,
wanted to meditate.
когда они хотели медитировать.
Because there's no sound,
Потому что там нет
there's
никаких
no people,
звуков, людей,
there's no agitation.
нет никаких беспокойств,
Complete peace.
полное умиротворение.
And in these magnificent mountains,
И в этих величественных горах,
which just bring out such a majestic,
которые излучают
awe-inspiring atmosphere,
магическую, волшебную и вдохновляющую ситуацию,
in the face of these mountains, you cannot think small.
думать мелко, мелочно.
You cannot think about petty things.
Вы не можете думать о каких-то мелочах.
You can only think
Вы можете
about
думать
majesty.
о волшебстве, о
In fact,
великом.
and factually, one's consciousness can become quite celestial in such an
Ваше
atmosphere.
сознание может быть очень как бы божественным в такой ситуации.
Therefore, they went to the mountains or they went to the forest.
В горы и отправлялись в лес.
That is why, even in the European traditions,
Поэтому даже в европейских традициях
the priests, the monks,
священники
they went to the forest for their monasteries.
в лес, делали там, то есть были монастыри.
They worked with the land
Они работали на земле,
because it's peaceful.
потому что это умиротворяет.
It's not an agitating environment.
Это окружение не беспокоит.
You know, right now in this room,
В этой комнате
there are unlimited varieties
есть
of waves and frequencies
множество разных
which
волн и
are
частот,
going through this room.
которые сейчас распространяются по этому залу.
Every city
Каждый
is packed
город наполнен
with waves in the ether.
волнами в эфире.
Every TV station is pumping out waves. Every radio station is pumping out waves. Now, if the radio station's over there, and I put the radio in my back pocket, I can still hear the station. Common sense tells us that means the radio wave is going right through us to the radio.
Здравый смысл говорит нам о том, что волны распространяются прямо через меня.
The TV is doing the same
То
thing.
же самое делает телевидение.
All your mobile
Все
telephones,
ваши мобильные телефоны
the same thing.
делают то же самое.
How is it that when the satellite in the space sends out signals. It finds you no matter where you are. That means every time somebody makes a phone call to a mobile phone, everybody is bathed with the frequency of the satellite sending out that signal. Every one of these businesses has microwave towers. They have these dishes which are capturing microwave transmissions between buildings. Microwave transmitters. What? You know, microwave transmission. They're transmitting microwaves from dish to dish, building to building, tower to building, building to tower. The sun also is making frequency vibrations. They're of the infrared variety, the ultraviolet variety, and everything in between. Too much infrared, and you got a sunburn. I mean, too much ultraviolet, and you've got a sunburn. Too much infrared, and you're feeling hot, hot, hot. The moon gives off frequencies like that. All the planets give off frequencies like that. The jewels you wear give off frequencies like that. The crystals that are in your room give off frequencies like that. The people you're next to give off frequencies. This table gives off frequencies. The electrical current in the wall is vibrating at 50 hertz. In fact, for those who can feel these vibrations, everything is vibrating. Every single thing in existence is vibrating. Now, some things vibrate according to their nature, their natural frequency. That's good. Some things vibrate according to an unnatural frequency. That's not good. We can change our vibrations considering what we're around. We can also change our vibrations consciously.
Мы можем сознательно менять свою вибрацию, или мы меняем свою вибрацию, когда нас, в зависимости от того, что нас окружает, непроизвольно.
That is why we should learn to recognize vibration.
Поэтому мы должны научиться распознавать вибрации.
To learn to recognize what is coming to us.
Распознавать, что к нам приходит.
When you become aware of what is coming to you, then you learn how it affects you. And by seeing the way it affects you, you understand how that effect causes you to react. And when you learn with higher knowledge or education how to control the reaction or to control the way you accept the frequency that's coming to you, then you start to become a master of this organic and etheric or mental bodies that you possess. Now, when you do that, you can start making decisions
вы начинаете
which are beneficial for you.
решения, которые благоприятны для вас.
This is the whole reason
Заключается причина,
why
почему
one has to learn
нужно научиться
to feel
чувствовать
the vibration that's coming to
вибрации,
one
которые к вам приходят,
and to observe the effect of it.
и наблюдать, какой эффект они на вас производят.
You may say, well, I'm not sensitive enough.
И что я недостаточно чувствителен.
It's not true.
Это не так.
Every one of you
Каждый из
feel
вас
these
чувствует
vibrations.
эти вибрации.
It's just that
Это просто
because you're used to them all the
потому,
time,
что вы привыкли к ним уже.
you block them out.
Вы блокируете их.
Take the example of living in the city.
Пример, когда человек живет в городе.
I don't live in the city.
Я не живу в городе.
I live in the country.
Я живу в деревне.
Now, when I come here, I'm in a city.
И когда я приезжаю сюда, я живу в городе.
And I hear all these cars going by.
Я слышу все эти машины.
During the
которые
day is
проезжают
bang,
мимо,
bang, bang, clank, clank, boom, clank, cling, clank. Now, he doesn't hear these at all
а я этого не слышу.
because he lives here.
Он не слышит, потому что
He's
он
totally
живет здесь,
used to these things.
потому что он привык.
He doesn't think they're abnormal.
А он не думает, что здесь что-то ненормальное в этом.
He just blocks them out.
Он просто блокирует себя.
I have to learn to block them out.
Мне нужно учиться, как блокировать себя.
Now, if you just think of that phenomena,
Если вы просто подумаете об этом феномене,
where you become used to
когда
things,
вы привыкаете к каким-то вещам,
and because you are used to a
и
certain
поскольку вы
situation,
привыкли к каким-то определенным ситуациям,
you don't think
вы не
about it.
думаете о них,
You don't consider it
вы не рассматриваете
as significant.
как нечто существенное.
Now just meditate on that for a
Давайте
second.
помедитируйте над этим.
You could be in a very bad
Вы
situation for
могли
you,
попасть в очень плохую ситуацию,
but you have blocked it
но
off
вы заблокировали это,
because of being used to it. You've just
потому
accepted
что
it.
вы привыкли к этому, вы приняли это.
You could have accepted the fact that you're getting sick
Вы даже могли
in the building you live in.
принять то обстоятельство, что вы болеете в том здании, в
You
котором
could block
живете.
off that you're getting sick
Но вы
in a
могли
certain
бы
association that
заблокировать
you're in.
себя как бы от этого с помощью какого-то общения.
You could block off the
Или вы
fact that when
могли бы
you're
заблокировать себя от того
smoking,
факта, что если вы, допустим, вы курите,
it's causing you difficulty in
это
the
вам
body,
причиняет в теле определенные трудности, создает,
and you don't even notice it.
а вы даже не замечаете этого.
Like, for example,
Например,
people who smoke,
люди, которые курят,
their aura is filled with smoke.
их аура наполнена дымом.
It's obvious to anyone who can see.
Это очевидно для каждого, кто может это видеть.
And everything about them, their energetic flow, is all colored with this smoke.
Поток, который они излучают, тоже окрашен этим дымом.
Physically, their oxygen supply
С физической точки
to the
зрения,
brain is diminished.
их мозг не получает достаточное количество кислорода.
And their bronchial tubes shrink because of the smoke.
Из-за дыма их бронхиальные трубы сужаются.
So the capacity of the brain to be clear reduces.
Ума мыслить ясно уменьшается.
Yet the person who smokes
И в то же самое время человек, который
has
курит,
no idea of any of this
ни о чем этом не имеет ни малейшего представления.
because he has accepted this situation
Потому что он
as
принял
normal.
эту ситуацию как нормальную.
When you accept
Когда вы
abnormal
принимаете
situations
ненормальные ситуации
as normal,
как нормальные,
then you go further and further and further away from the
вы
capability
уходите
of
всё
being
дальше и
aware.
дальше от способности осознавать.
Because you are systematically,
Потому что вы
step by
систематическим
step
образом,
by
шаг за
step,
шагом
closing
закрываете
the channels of awareness.
каналы осознания.
I just use smoke as an example.
Я просто привел
I'm not
курение
trying to make
как пример. Я здесь вообще не
it's
пытаюсь
okay, it's okay.
всё
I'm not
нормально,
trying to
не
make
беспокойтесь, я не пытаюсь
a campaign here.
сейчас организовать кампанию.
I mean, if you want to kill yourself, that's your
Если
problem.
хотите убивать себя, это уже ваша проблема.
But what I'm saying
Но что
here
я хочу сказать здесь,
is all of these things
это
have an
что все
effect.
эти вещи, вот,
Have an effect.
они имеют какой-то эффект.
Take TV.
Возьмите, к примеру, телевизор.
It has been scientifically measured
Уже
by
научным
scientists
образом было измерено
that people who
учеными,
watch
что
TV,
те, кто смотрит телевизор,
their brain patterns
их как бы мозговые
go into a kind of a semi-hypnotic
вибрации,
sleeping
что ли,
state.
они входят в какие-то полусонное такое состояние, полугипнотическое.
So that whatever is told to them by the
Все,
TV,
что не говорится по
they
телевидению,
tend to accept.
они все это принимают.
This is because
Это происходит потому,
the TV
что
itself,
телевидение само
the
по себе,
physical thing, is sending out frequencies from that cathode ray tube.
это потому, что вот этот вот прибор, этот телевизор излучает какие-то физические вибрации из своей электронной трубки.
Technically speaking, and you're probably not going to have a chance, but there's a little gun in there shooting electrons on all these pixels very rapidly.
На техническом языке, то там находится электронная пушка, которая выстреливает эти электроны очень с большой скоростью.
It's called a refresh rate of the screen. Refresh
Это
rate.
называется
On TVs, once every 50 times a second, it refreshes.
это как бы обновляет изображение в течение 50 times per second.
More or less.
Около 50 раз в секунду как бы обновляет изображение на экране, с такой
And
скоростью движется луч.
the video is usually changing at 25 frames a second.
А видео меняется 25 раз в секунду изображение.
So you've got this
Поэтому вы имеете вот эти вот
going at you constantly.
это на вас постоянно излучается вот это вот все.
And on top of that,
А поверх этого всего
you've got this radiation coming from the back of the TV.
это радиация, которая излучается с задней стороны телевизора,
This field which is affecting your magnetic field.
которая влияет на ваше магнитное поле.
So riding on this barrage of electric energy,
И
barrage, like this flood of electric energy,
вот так вот вы плывете на этом потоке электрической энергии
you've got these pictures
и получаете эти изображения,
and this sound.
этот звук.
So physically and energetically,
С энергетической точки
your body and mind are being dulled by this thing,
отупляются этими вещами,
and you're very susceptible to the pictures that come to you.
и вы становитесь очень восприимчивыми к тем изображениям, которые к вам поступают.
Make an experiment.
Проведите эксперимент.
Watch a thriller, a horrifying action, or a horror movie, or
какой-то фильм ужасов
just before going to bed.
прямо перед тем, как пойдете спать.
What happens?
Что произойдет?
You go to bed, you lay there, and
Вы идете, ложитесь в постели и
because all of that energy is just,
вся эта энергия,
and these pictures and images and concepts which were pumped into you are just rolling around.
концепции, они все крутятся у вас в голове.
Go to a rock concert.
Пойдите на рок-концерт.
And then walk out the door.
Потом выходите оттуда.
Your ears are screaming,
Ваши уши
and your whole consciousness is just
и сознание.
like this. So, in order to tolerate all
Чтобы
this,
все это выдержать,
you become duller,
вы становитесь
duller,
все тупее,
duller,
тупее,
duller.
тупее.
It's the only way you can survive.
Это единственный способ, как вы можете выжить.
That's why young people, in order to enjoy such concerts more,
Наслаждаться такими концертами,
they take drugs or get drunk or sniff some glue or whatever they do.
пьют или нюхают какой-то клей.
Because it enables us to vibrate in the proper frequency to accept such things. All of these mind and consciousness altering substances, they help one to vibrate in a different way, which somebody might think is better. Now, I'm not making any judgments here. But the obvious fact is that when you live in the forest, that is much, much better than when you're doing all this other stuff. Because if you want to be aware, some people don't want. Then they do whatever they do, that's fine. But if you want, the ultimately best thing to do is to be in complete peace. Because then you can rebuild your awareness. For example, sitting in front of some garden, you observe the plants, you observe the creatures, you observe the wind moving, you observe the bee flying, the birds as they go here and there and relate, the creatures crawling. You observe the way in which you're feeling so peaceful and harmonious in that atmosphere. This observation brings about the capacity to rebuild the consciousness on a peaceful basis. Okay, that's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen in my life either. But you can take some time and go to the forest. And that doesn't happen even all the time during the year. Because you don't want to go to the forest when it's minus 20 degrees outside. So when there's a possibility to go out and commune with nature, take it. Because by observing nature, by accepting nature as it is, by accepting the sky, the hills, the streams, the forest, the breeze, one starts to come in contact with goodness. One starts to purify one's consciousness. Now, that's not possible all the time. We know it, but one should take as much time as one can. Every day, go for a walk in the forest. Do some exercise. Or every day, try to develop some peacefulness. She was in tune with his throat.
Can I drink?
Sure. Me too. She saved him and me. Now, thank you. Now, when there's these other times, you can't go in the forest, or it's too cold out, or it's night, one can attain a healthy state of peacefulness through these techniques that we used these last few days.
техник или способов, которые мы использовали последние несколько дней.
Relaxation,
Расслабление,
purification.
очищение.
Because this is what naturally comes in the forest.
Это то, что естественным образом приходит в лесу.
Because there's nothing else to do there.
Потому что там больше нечего делать.
Of course, you can go with a group of people and go crazy in the forest too.
Отправиться туда с группой людей и сходить с ума и там.
But I'm talking about when you go there with the intention of
Но
peacefulness.
я имею в виду, когда вы отправляетесь в лес с намерением
Now,
умиротворения.
by these meditative processes,
С помощью этих медитационных процессов
you are
вы
bringing that state of peacefulness,
приносите
you are bringing that state of awareness,
осознание
even in the middle of this energetic chaos.
посреди этого энергетического хаоса.
Now, we explained about all these rays, all these emanations, all these energies going through this room.
Лучах, эманациях, которые распространяются в этом зале.
But I hope you got some realization that in the middle of all this,
Что посреди всего этого,
by just doing certain kinds of things,
просто благодаря тому, что делаются какие-то определенные вещи,
you could get the peace, get the concentration.
вы можете делать какие-то определенные вещи и прийти к умиротворению.
That proves that the human capacity
Способность человека
for controlling his environment
свое окружение
is very powerful.
очень могущественно.
Even in the case of somebody who even is smoking or doing other things which are not good for him,
Еще какие-то вещи, которые неблагоприятны.
by such states, he can even also achieve the result.
Он тоже может получить результат.
Because his consciousness is more powerful.
Сознание более могущественно.
You know, one of the saints in the Christian tradition said,
Один из святых в христианской традиции говорил,
it's not what goes in one's mouth that is as important as what comes out of it.
входит в уста, оскверняет человека, а то, что исходит из них.
Now somebody might say, well, you know, that's an excuse to eat meat.
Это оправдание для того, чтобы есть мясо.
But actually, there's a lot of
На
wisdom to
самом
that.
деле в этом есть много мудрого.
You know, Hitler was a vegetarian.
Гитлер был вегетарианцем.
So one would, of course, say vegetarians are better than meat eaters.
Кто-то может сказать, что вегетарианцы лучше мясоедов.
But would you say
Но
Hitler's better than some priest or... Of course you wouldn't. Because when what comes out of the mouth is unenlightened, then it really doesn't matter what went into the mouth. Now, I'm not making propaganda for anybody to change their diet negatively. Oh, it's okay. But the point is that the human capacity to develop actually transcends the bodily considerations. And that, I was just using that as an example. Now, this means that when we're doing this meditation, when we're doing this, we are tuning ourselves to a higher energy. When you tune yourself in that way, you are using your concentration to vibrate according to that energy of the higher realm. You are consciously taking steps to tune yourself. Now, let's take the example of the meditation on the twin hearts. When the Om mantra was going there, and the ray of white light was coming in, if you actually did it, the reason why was because when you were so relaxed and you were chanting the mantra, your consciousness here was actually attuned to the mantra. And that the mantra itself helped that tuning to become more and more powerful as the moments went on.
точно, более сильно.
That's why it took 5 or so minutes for it to start working.
Около 5 минут перед тем, как это начало действовать.
And when one took that ray light into the brain, into the mind, it was because all of the circumstances for that to happen were there.
Произошло потому, что все те обстоятельства, которые способствовали, были благоприятны для того, чтобы это произошло, уже были там.
But this was not like just some fate or some accidental occurrence.
Никакой подделкой или каким-то случайным событием.
We created it.
Мы создали эту ситуацию.
We made it happen.
Мы сделали, чтобы она пришла.
By being guided through the steps by which it could happen.
Потому что мы прошли путем и приняли те шаги, которые способствовали, чтобы это
And by being concentrated.
И благодаря нашей концентрации.
Now, this means that we all have the inherent capacity to tune to what we want to tune to.
На то, на что мы хотим настроиться.
But we have to be aware of what it is that we wish to tune to. And we gain that awareness by observation and peacefulness and feeling the energy. When these things are there, you can tune yourself to anything. Now, I know that's quite a big statement, but I don't believe it's an unattainable thing. I'm quite sure it's attainable for everybody. Now, when one becomes aware of energy, and one is together with another person, and one is peaceful, automatically you feel the other person. Practically you've got no choice. Because it's the nature of the living being to receive these vibrations. Now, this can also be done in a spiritual way. Well, I think you should better hurry up because the sun's right in my eyes right now. And I don't want to tune to the sun in my eyes because then I'm going to go blind. So move that one over this way. Not that one, this way. And that one, this way. Yes, okay, good. Good, now put the two together and you got it. So, now, no, yeah, okay, that's good, that's good. Now, you can do an experiment. And, you know, I wanted to, boy, this could go into hours and hours. I'll tell you what I want to do, okay? I want you to learn how to pump out energy and how to feel energy from others. But I want it to be an emotional energy. So I was thinking of pairing up everybody in the room. Pairing up two couples. But that's like a big thing and that's going to take quite some time. And we might even still do that. But what I really wanted to do and why we're sitting here is I wanted us to feel spiritual energy, to tune to the spiritual energy. If we were tuning to each other, I would want you to
Если бы мы настраивали
manifest
друг на друга, то я бы
love
хотел,
towards the
чтобы,
other person,
как бы, как
then
бы
to
проявлял любовь по
manifest
отношению к другому,
anger towards the other
потом
person,
проявлял бы гнев по
or
отношению
then
к
to
другому,
manifest,
а потом
to create these states within us,
чтобы мы попытались создать
and
это
let the
состояние
others
внутри
feel
нас,
the
для
states.
того, чтобы другие могли почувствовать это
But that's
состояние.
very
Но
difficult.
это очень трудно.
It practically means like you have to be, like one of these big actors in movies who can just transform their whole energy, on because of a plot.
Трансформировать эту энергию because of
The plot, the action, the script.
потому что как это по сценарию написано.
Actually, I don't think that's so easy to do.
Но мне не кажется, что это очень просто.
But what you can do is outside of this room,
Вот за пределами этого зала,
if you're
если
sitting next to somebody,
сидите рядом с кем-то,
just relax.
просто расслабьтесь,
Just
просто
be peaceful.
сидите спокойно
And just let yourself very gently feel
и позвольте себе
what's
очень
coming from that person.
спокойно, в спокойном состоянии ощутить, что исходит из этого человека.
Just relax and
Просто в
just
расслабленном
very
состоянии,
gently
очень мягко
feel
почувствуйте,
how it feels from that person.
что вы чувствуете от этого человека.
Now, don't do it too much,
Не очень много углубляйтесь в это,
because one can also
потому
absorb
что,
the negativity
может быть,
of a
вы
person.
будете воспринимать и негативность исходящего человека тогда.
Therefore, I say
Поэтому
just a little
я
bit.
поэтому говорю чуть-чуть, немножко.
Just turn it on a little bit,
Просто немножко включите это,
just to get like a
чтобы
taste
получить какой-то вкус,
of what somebody else is emanating.
что излучает человек.
If you're together with your husband or wife or
Если, скажем, вы
whatever,
муж с женой,
then you can, of course, do it in much more detail, in much more power, much more force.
вы можете делать это с большей силой, с большей глубиной.
In fact, you can even on higher levels just have all your chakras exchanging all their energy
Вы можете
and
на
feel
каких-то более
completely
высоких
what another
уровнях
person is feeling.
объединить свои чакры и даже чувствовать, что
In
чувствует
fact, you can
другой.
even become
Может быть, вы даже
practically one
можете даже
energetically with that
слиться
person.
энергетически с этим человеком.
But that is only when you've got
Но
that
это только в том
compatibility.
случае, если у вас
You've
есть
got that trust,
такая совместимость,
you've got that
есть
faith,
такое доверие,
that
вера
love.
и любовь.
So, but first,
Но
just
вначале
do a little bit, experiment.
немножко поэкспериментируйте.
You can also experiment by holding your palms next to each
Вы
other.
можете
Your
экспериментировать,
palms, their
держа
palms.
ладони друг напротив
You can
друга.
feel the energy of a
Вы
person.
сможете почувствовать энергию,
Or just
которая исходит от
put your
человека,
hands
или
near their body. You could feel their energy field.
проведите ладонями
By
на небольшом расстоянии тела,
experimenting
почувствуйте
like that
энергию,
with
которая
people,
исходит. И так вот экспериментируя,
you can become more
вы
aware
сможете больше
of energy in general.
ощущать энергию.
And if I had time,
И если бы у меня было время,
we could do a whole course
могли
in
провести курс,
awareness of others' energy.
направленный на как бы осознание или ощущение энергии других.
When you do this,
Когда вы это делаете,
when you feel like
когда вы
this,
чувствуете таким образом,
what you are actually
на самом
doing
деле,
is
что вы делаете,
is
это
you are tuning
вы
yourself
настраиваете себя
to them.
на них.
That's how, for example,
Именно
a
так,
psychic
например,
person
вот эти
or
экстрасенсы
a healing
или
person does.
целители делают.
They tune
Они
themselves
настраивают себя
to the person
на того человека
first for diagnosis,
сначала для диагноза,
for awareness.
для того, чтобы
What
понять,
is wrong with this
что
person?
там не так у этого человека,
Or what is right?
или наоборот, что так.
And then they tune in another way
А потом они настраиваются по-другому,
to put out an energy to heal
излучать
that which
энергию,
is improper.
чтобы исцелить то, что неправильно.
they take the sick frequency
они берут вот эту вот больную частоту
and counter it with the healing
и
frequency.
противодействуют ее целительской частотой, целительной частотой.
Again, it's awareness, it's tuning.
Это тоже опять какое-то ощущение,
Because
сознание, это
everything is a vibration.
потому что все представляет собой вибрацию.
And to do this, you be
Для
aware.
того, чтобы делать это, вы должны ощущать,
You always practice awareness in the
вы должны
peaceful
все
state.
время практиковать вот это вот ощущение в умиротворенном состоянии.
And in this way you come
Таким образом,
in contact.
вы приходите в соприкосновение.
And you also just be aware of what
И также
the smoke is doing to you,
ощущать, осознавать,
the
что
liquor is
происходит.
doing to you,
Дым,
the TV is
курение,
doing to
или
you,
что делает алкоголь, или
the
телевизор,
noise is doing to
или
you,
шум,
the drugs,
или
or
наркотики,
whatever it is that you do,
или все то, что вы делаете,
the food you eat,
та пища, которую вы едите,
the way you do things.
то, как вы вообще
Be aware of the effect.
чувствуете, какой эффект от этого
Just
происходит.
constantly be aware
Постоянно
of your surroundings.
ощущайте свое окружение.
Now, you can't do that all the time because you've also got to do things in this
Всё
world.
время это делать, потому что вам нужно что-то делать, какие-то практические дела.
But use your life
Но
as a laboratory
используйте свою жизнь как лабораторию
and become aware.
и осознавайте.
And when you become more and more aware,
Вы
you will know
вы
what is
знать,
compatible with you
что с вами сочетается,
and what is
а
incompatible.
что не сочетается.
You will also know
Вы
more
также
and more
знаете
as you
всё больше и
develop
больше по мере того, как вы
how to
развиваетесь,
protect yourself
как защитить себя
from the incompatible.
от того, с чем вы несовместимы.
When you become aware of how to tune into somebody,
Когда вы настраиваетесь, изучаете, понимаете, как настраиваться на кого-то,
you also become aware how to tune out somebody.
учитесь, как не настраиваться, или как бы настраиваться на другую частоту, чтобы не быть на одной частоте, что вы не хотите.
As you become aware how to take in the beautiful positive energy,
Осознаете, как принимать эту замечательную позитивную энергию,
you become
вы
aware
точно так же начинаете осознавать,
of the negative
как
energy and how to not
осознавать
accept it,
негативную энергию, как не принимать ее,
how to keep it away.
как держать ее в стороне.
You become a tuning mechanism.
Становитесь настраивающимся
As you
механизмом.
like, you tune in to the good
Если хотите
and you tune out to the bad.
на хорошее, и вы не настраиваетесь на плохое,
You can tune into love,
вы можете настроиться на любовь
tune out of hatred.
и можете не настраиваться на ненависть.
The more and more you do that,
И чем больше вы это делаете,
the more and more you get to the point of constantly being yourself in tune with the loving frequencies.
вы все больше и больше будете настраиваться на любовную частоту.
The more you tune to the loving
Чем больше
frequencies,
вы будете настраиваться на любовную частоту,
the more you come to know
тем
yourself.
больше вы будете понимать себя.
Because in ultimate issue, you are
Потому что
love.
в конечном счете вы есть любовь.
As soon as you start tuning to yourself as your loving frequencies, your actual being,
Если вы будете настраиваться на себя как на любовное живое существо,
automatically you tune to the loving frequencies of the higher
на
energies.
любовную частоту высших энергий.
You start to tune to all those loving beings that are everywhere in the universe, in the higher realms.
Любящие существа, которые есть там в высших сферах.
And they in tune help you tune to the Supreme.
Они вместе помогут вам настроиться на Всевышнего.
In other words, this whole process of awareness, of learning how to tune into the good and tune out the bad, is the most powerful means of understanding oneself and understanding that which is higher than oneself, understanding all living beings, and understanding the Supreme. It is the spiritual consciousness. The spiritual consciousness is a vibration, a spiritual vibration. That natural love, which is us, which is also the Supreme,
которая является,
is the spiritual vibration.
Это и есть вот эта духовная вибрация.
And when you start connecting to the spiritual vibration, then you can start seeing the spiritual vibration in many things.
Духовную вибрацию во многих вещах.
And then in everything.
И потом во всем.
And when you see that spiritual vibration more and more,
эту духовную вибрацию все больше и больше,
the world around you ceases to be material.
И мир вокруг вас тогда перестает быть материальным.
It becomes the spiritual realm.
Он становится духовным царством.
Because the spiritual realm is a spiritual vibration.
Духовное царство — это духовная вибрация.
Now, of course,
И, конечно,
I have made many very large leaps in my explanation. Very large leaps in my explanation from this wonderful thing to that one.
Конечно, очень такие фундаментальные как бы переходы в своем объяснении.
But when you are doing this kind of tuning exercise,
Когда вы делаете вот эти вот упражнения на настрой,
it is very important to understand where you're going.
понимать, куда вы движетесь.
Always when you're going to tune, you first have to tune to yourself
Настройтесь на себя
by relaxation,
с помощью расслабления,
by purification.
очищения.
Then you can start tuning to others.
Настраиваться на других.
And when you do that, you get success.
И когда вы, если вы будете делать это, вы получите.
So if you like, you can start turning your life into a laboratory experiment.
Вы можете, если хотите, превратить свою жизнь в лабораторный эксперимент.
Now here, for our meditation tonight, our exercise tonight,
Медитация сегодня для нашего сегодняшнего упражнения.
I wanted to sit in front of Gornatai
Я бы хотел сесть напротив Горнитай.
because, you see, their vibration is so incredibly powerful
Их вибрация настолько могущественна.
that even dullards like us, especially me,
Самые тупые, даже я,
feel when we just
ощущают.
place ourselves in the proper situation,
Мы просто поместим себя в правильную ситуацию.
we can start to
Мы
feel
можем начать чувствовать
their energy.
их энергию.
Now, you know, they're not just some wood there.
Это не просто кусок дерева там.
Now to say that they're not wood
Я
would be
не могу
incorrect.
сказать, что там нет дерева, это было бы неправильно.
But to say they are only
Сказать,
wood
что они просто
is
дерево,
totally
это
incorrect.
было бы совершенно неправильно.
They have their form there, just as we have our form
Есть
here.
своя форма, точно так же, как у нас есть своя форма.
If you call us flesh and blood,
Если вы назовете нас просто
and that's
мясом и
all we
кровью,
are,
и это все,
that's incorrect.
то это было бы неправильно.
But if you say that is also part of us, that is correct.
Если вы скажете, что это плоть и кровь, это наша часть, тогда это может быть правильно.
But their form there
Их форма
is filled with living energy,
живой энергии,
just as ours.
точно так же, как и наша.
But their form
Но
is
их
filled
форма
only
наполнена
with
только
pure
чистой
spiritual energy,
духовной энергией,
pure
чистой
goodness.
благостью.
That pure
Эта
spiritual
чистая
energy
духовная энергия
is everywhere, emanating around this room and everywhere emanating.
по этому залу и повсюду.
Now, just like when I said
Точно так
They-
же, как
they
я
are
сказал,
also
что
wood.
Они тоже дерево,
those
также
who
и дерево.
used to be devotees, some of them,
Те, кто раньше были как бы
their
преданными,
hearts immediately got tight
сердца напряглись сразу,
because
потому что
to hear that the deity is
услышать,
wood
что божество является
is an
деревом,
offense.
это оскорбление.
So because they had that conception,
Поэтому у них было, потому что у них была
their
такая
heart got
концепция,
tight.
их сердце напряглось.
Now, if you have a conception
Но если у вас есть концепция,
and that conception
и эта
is not
концепция
correct,
не истина,
then the capacity to tune is
тогда
reduced.
ваша способность настроиться уменьшается.
Because to deny the fact that they are deities
Отрицать то обстоятельство,
made
что
of
это
wood
божества, сделанные из дерева,
is to try to put oneself into an illusory condition of what we see. Because almost every devotee who used to be devotee used to see the deities as they actually seem to be when you look at them. And then they used to make mental adjustments by praying to them in the hope that their prayer would be heard by what they really are, those deities up there. Because of that, they never actually connected to the deities. If one actually understands, they are these material forms, but they are so spiritual, their energy is so spiritual, that there is nothing material about these forms. It doesn't matter if you think they're made of wood or not. Because it's not the wood form that you want to connect to. How are you going to connect to that? You're down here, they're up there. What's the connection? And even if you see, what's the connection? They're not moving. They just stand there. They don't move their hands. They don't move their legs. So there's a problem there with connecting with that form. But if you see them, just as if somebody looks at us, you've got a problem because we move. We talk. And the person thinks, who's looking at us, that they're actually seeing us. They're actually connecting with us. But it's not true. They're simply seeing the external manifestation of our being. When you really know the being that you are relating to, then you are knowing the person. Exactly in the same way, when you know Gaur Nitai, their loving energy, then you will be able to experience them. Did you understand the difference here? I know it is very radical kind of a discussion for those who were formerly thinking that other way. But when you think about it, it's logical. Now, what I want to do is have everybody just come up and stand before the deities, Gaur Nitai. Not now. Wait, hold it. I want to explain the whole thing. Then what I'd like you to do is just relax yourself. Relax all your conceptions. Relax all these ideas of how you're supposed to relate with a deity, or even the fact that you can't relate, or this is weird. Just relax. And just come to understand yourself. Just come. We're going to go through this step by step. Just come to feel yourself. And then when you're feeling yourself like that, reach out to them. And then feel. The same way you would have done it to the person next to you, had we done that experiment. And just accept. And give your love. See what happens. Start feeling their energy. You can even draw their energy towards you with your hands and give your energy to them. Now, I know it sounds corny to do that. It sounds like very artificial or something, or weird.
Я понимаю, что может показаться, это может звучать очень искусственно.
But when one is
но
not exactly
это-
capable of doing this naturally, to actually go like this helps. Because
Если человек не может это делать естественным образом, то
your
делание вот
ether is
такого,
also bringing in
это
the
тоже помогает.
energy.
Вот ваш эфир, он
And you can
помогает,
also give it out.
получить эту энергию и отдавать ее им.
I mean, what have you got to lose?
А что вам терять?
Even if it's weird,
Даже если это немножко
And you don't get any
диковато
effect.
выглядит, или если вы не получите
Okay,
никакого
big
результата,
deal.
ну что?
you wasted 5
Ну
minutes.
что, потратили 5 минут зря.
But if you get something,
Но если вы что-то получите,
if it helps you,
и если это вам поможет,
well, maybe you've gained 50 years.
может быть, вы выиграли 50 лет.
So open mind is required.
Поэтому здесь нужна открытость ума.
In fact, whenever you do anything energetically, you always have to have an open mind.
Что-то энергетически нужно иметь открытый ум.
Because as soon as you close your mind to a possibility,
свой ум для этой возможности,
when the possibility comes,
когда приходит эта возможность,
you can't accept it.
вы не можете ее принять.
Understand?
Понимаете?
And also, let's consider
И давайте
cultural things in a religion.
Давайте рассмотрим культурные аспекты в религии.
These artifacts, or these paintings,
Вот эти вот,
or the music, or the chants,
картины или музыку, или
or the incense,
воспевание,
or the
или-
bells, or the
или
candles,
благовония, или
or the
колокольчики,
processions.
свечи, или какие-то процессии религиозные.
Whether or not these things work is not my point.
Неважно, эти вещи работают или нет, я не об этом.
But the reason these are done
Но
is
причина,
to
почему это делается,
help you lose
делается для
your
того, чтобы
tuning to the mundane
вы как бы не
and
настраивались на
tune your
мирское,
energy
а настраивались
to
на
that which is
свою
spiritual.
энергию, настраивали на то, что является духовным.
When people pray to the
Когда
cross,
люди молятся кресту,
or they bow down in the mosque,
или они кланяются,
or they pray to the deity,
или молятся божествам,
or whoever, or whatever,
или чему угодно, или кому угодно,
they are using this object
вот этот объект
to
для того, чтобы
concentrate,
сосредоточиться,
to tune
для
themselves
того,
in
чтобы настроить
concentration
себя в
with this
концентрации,
higher power.
настроить на эту высшую силу.
Now, it is not necessarily necessary to do that in all cases.
Не обязательно делать это каждый раз,
But people need help
но людям нужна помощь.
because somehow we've become quite separate from the spiritual energy.
Мы по какой-то причине отделились от духовной энергии.
Now, you don't have to
Вам нет
surrender to
необходимости
them.
сейчас предаться
You
им,
don't have to accept them as
или
God or not.
принимать их как Бога.
You don't have to think in any particular
Вам не
way.
нужно никаким образом
You don't have to
думать,
become a
вам не
Hindu.
нужно становиться индусом,
You don't have to be
не
religious.
нужно быть религиозным,
You don't have to be anything.
вообще ничем не нужно быть.
But it's nice to feel.
Но очень здорово почувствовать это.
It's nice to feel
Это было
their
здорово
energy.
почувствовать их энергию.
Now, maybe you haven't really felt their energy before.
Может быть, вы до этого никогда не испытывали их энергию.
Take my word for it, if nothing else.
Просто возьмите тогда мои слова, если у вас нет
For
никакого
whatever it's
другого
worth.
доказательства, чего бы они ни стоили,
That their energy
что их энергия
is beautiful.
замечательна,
It's wonderful.
она удивительна
It is divine.
и божественна,
And it is very healing.
и она очень целительна.
If you have relationship with
И
them,
если у вас есть какие-то отношения с ними,
take their energy, give them your energy
принимайте
because
их
of that
энергию, отдавайте им свою энергию,
intense love,
в любви, в сильной
which is
любви,
just so wonderful to feel.
которая так замечательна.
Now, when you chant mantras,
Когда вы воспеваете мантры,
the real purpose of the spiritual sound vibration
причина, вот суть вот этой вот духовной вибрации,
is to
звуковой вибрации,
ride on that vibration and connect with the higher energies.
чтобы плыть на этой вибрации и соединиться с высшей энергией.
I have one whole MPEG CD in my computer with 12 CDs
У
on
меня
it.
есть компактный диск, на котором запаковано 12 компактных дисков.
I have about 24 Gregorian chants on that, as well as the normal devotional music from the Eastern tradition.
Хоралов там или каких-то произведений, которые, ну, вместе также у меня есть другие разные.
And I see these chants are actually very spiritual things.
Вот эти вот песни очень духовные.
I know when I was so-called preaching in Egypt, we had a flat which is next to where the singers at night would sing the Quran. I used to just listen to it. I loved it. In South India, I used to listen to the Shaivites chanting the Shiva Purana. It was just gorgeous. The spiritual energy can be received through spiritual vibrations also, which are connecting to the Supreme. I wanted to also personally chant some mantras, so one could connect to each and every one of the personalities. I'm not sure if I can do that. Maybe we'll try, but I just really would like it if we could all move up before the deities and we just try to do something which is very, I don't know, open. Very open. Not with fear. Not with judgment. Not with having to worry about what other people think. But just like a openness. An experiment. But rather a giving and taking on a deep level. What do you think? Huh? Yeah? What do you think?
When I was trying to relate to the problem, you could say a few words about the problem.
Only if it's relevant for many people.
Только если эта проблема касается многих.
That energy is so sublime.
Их энергия настолько возвышена и сильна.
Its energy couldn't relate to my energy because my energy.
Ah, okay, good point. Good point.
Не могла коснуться меня, потому что моя энергия была настолько низка.
Now, again, that's the same conception I was talking before. They're just wood up there, and they're just representing this incredible energy from the highest realms. It's not so. They are living beings. They are non-different from us as living beings. If I'm talking to the baby, I go goo goo gaga. If I have such capacity, do you think they don't have the capacity to relate with you exactly as you need it? Do you have so little understanding of superior energy that you think superior energy can only be superior and nothing else? And nothing else. Only the Supreme. And you are the little one. You think that's where they are? Gornatai, are you like that? No. They are ready, they are willing, they are eager to relate with you as you, the real you. This is their desire. They don't desire anything more in the whole existence than to relate with you. not as the
Не
supreme,
как Всевышний,
but as Gornitai.
не как Всевышний, а как горный тай.
And because you go before
Поскольку ты
them,
идешь к ним,
and you go,
и
sorry,
ты идешь вот так
too
вот,
big for me.
вы слишком велики для меня.
And they go,
Они думают,
when will this idiot understand
когда этот
something?
идиот что-нибудь поймет.
Now they don't go like that.
Ну нет, они так не говорят.
What they're really
Но
thinking
что
is,
они на самом деле думают,
why doesn't he ask this question so
почему он не задаст этот вопрос,
he can find out what's the
чтобы
fact?
понять ответ, факт.
So you already did what they
И
said.
вот сейчас ты сделал то, что они хотели.
The thing is when you understand
Суть в том,
yourself
что когда вы поймете себя
and you just open
и
yourself,
откроете себя,
they're going to just flood to you.
они просто будут плыть.
And when that happens, if you then say, oh,
Ты скажешь,
I'm impure,
я не чист,
I'm not pure enough for this.
я недостаточно чист.
Or then you say,
Или
oh, I feel it, I'm so advanced.
вы скажете, я чувствую, я такой продвинутый,
Then immediately everything ruined.
тогда немедленно все разрушится.
If you just gently
Но если вы просто
give your love
мягко
and open to them, and they'll gently come to you,
свою любовь, и они придут к вам,
and then you just accept
и
that,
вы просто примете
and
это.
just don't bother thinking,
И не будете
and
думать,
just give your love to them
просто будете любить их.
without
Без
expectations,
каких бы то ни было
without
ожиданий,
demands.
без требований.
To feel this is not being advanced.
Чтобы чувствовать это, не нужно быть особо
It's just
продвинутым.
like the
Это просто-
beginning of a
это
relationship.
просто начало взаимоотношений.
So don't be upset or worried,
Не расстраивайтесь и не беспокойтесь.
and don't think you're not ready for it.
И не думайте, что вы не готовы к этому.
It's the only thing you're ready for.
Это единственное, к чему вы готовы.
Come on.
Все, пошли.
You bring up the mic. Come on. Now just relax.
Просто расслабьтесь.
This is private. This is
Это
between us and them.
что-то личное между нами и ими.
We're not making a show. We're
Это не шоу.
giving our love.
Мы отдаем свою любовь.
So just relax.
Просто расслабьтесь.
Just let all
Пусть
your tension go.
все ваше напряжение уйдет.
We're now going to just do the relaxation meditation.
Просто делаем медитацию расслабления.
Just close your eyes.
Закройте свои глаза.
Let all of the anxiety
Пусть все беспокойства
in your head
в вашей голове
just go.
уйдут.
Let go of all the
Пусть
anxiety,
уйдут все ваши
the
беспокойства,
stress.
стресс.
Let go of everything that's in your face.
Пусть уйдет все, что
And
находится
relax
на
your
вашем
face.
лице. Расслабьте свое лицо.
Relax your shoulders.
Расслабьте
Relax your neck.
и спину.
Relax your body.
Расслабьте свое тело.
Just relax everything.
Расслабьте все.
Let go of all conceptions.
Пусть все концепции уйдут.
And just take that music and pour over you the white, purifying,
И возьмите эту музыку.
cleansing
и
rays
возьмите
of the
её
white
на себя
energy
в форме
flowing over the music.
этой энергии белого света, которая течет по этой музыке.
And then listen as I chant,
И слушайте, как я буду воспевать.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda, Prabhu Nityananda, Prabhu Nityananda. Chaitanya Nityananda, Chaitanya Nityananda. Gaur Nitai. And just open your eyes, open your hearts, and just feel. And take their energy. Just take it. Flood your whole body with their energy. Flood your whole existence with their energy. And then give your love to them. Just give your love to them. As you look in their eyes and you feel their energy, they are completely alive. And they've been waiting for us for so long. If they speak to you, answer them. as in any meeting between people, when the time comes to part, you say goodbye and go and thank them for their company. And you meet again.